this is an ongoing conversation, and I'm actually answering this person specifically. So just so that you all know, you can follow it back and read the thing, because it's now. Yes, people, bleach is a really efficient biocide. No arguments there whatsoever. However, and this person has a nephew who has been damaged from salmonella, whatever. However, first thing, soap does work. We know it works because that's how we wash our hands. Soap disrupts the lipid layer that encloses both bacteria and viruses, and then they fall apart and they can't reproduce. So yes, it does kill them. We can see that, and we can see that by looking at it under a microscope. Now, I have to confess that like every other living thing on the planet, bacteria need certain conditions to breed. One of the reasons they breed quite well inside us is because we're warm and wet. If you get a surface really clean, properly clean, and dry, it is not a fertile breeding ground for bacteria. Now, when you're slopping around disinfectants and biocides, yeah, sure, they do kill bacteria. You then can either leave them in place, leave a thin film, and anything further that lands might die, but once it dries out, it may not. But I have noticed that people do get weirdly a little sloppy because they are using a disinfectant. They are relying on that to kill the germs. Whereas if you are using hot soapy water and sometimes a scrubbing brush, you are not relying on your solution. You're relying on you removing the food for bacteria and also giving it a really good scrub. I mean, if you want to get something properly clean with that, when I scrub my work boards, I mean, they get a proper hard scrub for a couple of minutes with lots of detergent and a rinse off. Believe you me, they're properly clean. Like I said, obviously, I'm not saying that bleach isn't an efficient biocide. It is. There are lots of disinfectants that are. I prefer not to rely on that one. I prefer to rely on things being mechanically very clean. Because I am relying on the mechanics, I do the mechanics. Does that make sense? It's very easy to slop on a couple of tablespoons of bleach, swish it around with a cloth, rinse the cloth out, wipe it up, job's a good one. Because the bleach has killed everything on there. But you haven't taken everything on there off because you're relying on the bleach to kill anything dangerous. I'm not saying you do. I'm not casting this, I'm just explaining the process. However, if you give it a really good scrubbing brush, cloth, whatever, rinse your cloth out, really nice hot water, you rinse it thoroughly, really hard, rinse it, get in all the crevices, and then leave it to get bone dry. Because of the fact that you are mechanically removing everything and leaving it to dry, you are much more thorough every time than you might be if you were using a biocide. I think it probably comes down to there being two ways to skin a cat, really. I just happen to prefer that one. But yes, soap does kill germs and viruses. It's really, really very efficient indeed. And also vinegar, not vinegar water, vinegar. Because vinegar is about 4%, and you want upwards of that. You don't want. I keep seeing people saying, "Oh, mix vinegar half." Don't mix. White vinegar is about 4% acetic acid. Don't dilute it. You don't need to. It's pointless. Lye, caustic soda, all of these things. Do wear gloves because it'll eat your skin. But generally speaking, a good detergent and really hot water and a scrub renders things properly clean. And if you've got something properly clean, it is not then a fertile breeding ground for bacteria. And because of that, like I said, and you do you, but that's how it works.